I wonder if there may be any of you who have any questions about any of these matters just yet. I'm afraid I do not possess the eloquence of Mr. Jefferson, neither the charm, matter of fact, not the height either. Orange County, where I'm from, they generally say I'm the last one knowing it's raining in that county. Yes?
You mentioned some of the personal attacks against Jefferson.
Yes.
What were you speaking of?
Well, in the first instance, during the campaign in 1800, and also even preceding that in 1796, there were charges by the Federalists. Mr. Jefferson had encouraged, if not supplied, information and monies to various gazettes that would cast malicious comments on the character of Federalists, and that particularly of Mr. Adams from Massachusetts. Some suggested that Mr. Jefferson proposed a number of articles to be written that would be perhaps slanderous in nature. And for that, he was vilified by many of the Federalists. Plumer, Mr. Fisher Ames from Massachusetts, the most vocal perhaps in objections to the supposed actions of Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson's action along such lines was to support by subscription a paper that was begun in Philadelphia by one of my classmates at the College of New Jersey, Mr. Freneau. Mr. Freneau suggested that might begin a newspaper in Philadelphia, and at the same time Mr. Jefferson would employ his services in printing various documents for the federal government at the time. Mr. Freneau, on his own initiative, began a series of articles that became perhaps more vitriolic in the course of time, and because Mr. Jefferson was a subscriber to that newspaper, they believed that perhaps Mr. Jefferson was fomenting these allegations against Mr. Adams. And such was not the case. Mr. Freneau was solicited for subscriptions, and there are many of us who gave those subscriptions to him in order to carry on the paper. And I was one of those, but I was never chastised for vilifying the Federalist. There was another allegation by Mr. Callender of Mr. Jefferson's miscreant behavior with a young lady of his own farm in Monticello. And Mr. Jefferson was asked me in a personal conversation whether he should answer such a public charge, and I suggested that he not answer the question. It was a question about whether he had perhaps a more congenial relationship with one of his people. And it was indelicate, the charge to begin with, questioning a gentleman's private character. But it was also, I believe, rumored on false at the time. There are other suggestions of his having purchased Louisiana territory in contrast to the constitutional requirements, and also that perhaps in the last year he has forsworn his duties as president by perhaps devolving some more responsibilities on the Secretary of State. In all those instances, I believe those charges are false. Unless you have something you might wish to add. Yes?
At this particular time, I believe Mr. Jefferson and Mr. John Adams had serious disagreements over a number of issues. Was the Louisiana Purchase one of those disagreements?
No, not as far as I know, except that I believe that Mr. Adams had registered, had administered his objections only insofar as wondering whether the act was constitutional or not. And there was a general apprehension on the part of those northern states at the acquisition of that Louisiana territory, that presumably the territories would eventually become states because of the large portions of land would begin to dissemble the influence of those northern states in the actions in Congress. That with each additional territory added, the influence of the northern states, in New England and New York and such, would diminish as a consequence. Rhode Island particularly levying its objections to the actions. But I don't believe Mr. Adams had voiced that particular objection to Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Adams was always very upset with what accounts would be found in the gazettes. But in truth, upon examination, one would find that there were more aspersions cast on the character of Mr. Adams by another Federalist by the name of Alexander Hamilton than there was ever from any Democratic Republican. The accounts of Mr. Hamilton's actions during Mr. Adams's administration are most questionable.